Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much. You may be seated, and I thank you for waiting this afternoon. We're running this a little bit late, but we do appreciate you hanging around. We appreciate it. And we want to welcome you to the East Room here today, here at the historic White House. You know, this is a very special place. Um, that's something that I've always uh, admired my entire life is the institution of the American presidency. And I think we try to do our very best job we can in the Rogers White House to emulate that and to show things that and do things that are presidential. And so we appreciate everybody for being here today. Last week, we celebrated an important victory for American families. The Housing for the 21st Century Act is now law. And folks, it was a big accomplishment. You know, we've been doing this for 5 years. And since the very first day we started, our priority was housing. We started working to get a bill put through Congress to become law that would strictly regulate corporations buying neighborhoods. And we have accomplished that. You know, one of the things that we wanted early on was a 5-year limit or a 5-year term. When I say 5 years, that's when if you are a corporation or a broker and you buy that house, it's yours for 5 years. Well, we got 2 years in the deal. And that's part of being bipartisan. And so I do want to thank members of Congress for their work on this, that this thing is now law. Now that we've got that signed and in law, it's time to move on to the next important agenda item here at the Rogers White House, and that is education. You know, and we were talking about housing, and that bill expands financing for affordable housing, strengthens support for low-income families, and gives communities better tools to plan and build. Stable housing is the foundation. When families have a safe place to live, children can focus on learning, parents can focus on work, and neighborhoods can grow with confidence. With that foundation in place, we now turn our full attention to the next essential priority, and that is education. Think about what I talked about the 21st Century Act, neighborhoods, schools. You get parents, you get families in the neighborhoods, our schools thrive. You have corporations that are buying homes bulk. You are hurting not only schools, but you're hurting the communities that they are a part of. And part of the problem, and I'll digress a little bit when I'm going back into housing. Part of the problem is these companies that buy these homes know nothing about the city they're buying it in. They just see a home on the market and they throw money. They throw money at the prospective buyer or the home they want to buy, hoping that they'll break, hoping that they throw enough money to them that they will cave in and they will buy this house. Once that house is purchased, then the flipping starts. And I digress to back into what I was going to talk about. But getting back to stable neighborhoods is one of the foundations of education. It's one of the foundations of education. And that's why we are advancing my Back to Basics education program. It's a clear, practical agenda to restore excellence in America's classrooms. It's built on 4 Pacific pillars. First, stronger early reading and mathematics instruction. Every child must master the fundamentals. Reading proficiency by the end of the 3rd grade is one of the strongest predictors of later academic success. We are supporting evidence-based curriculum, early screening for reading difficulties, and targeted interventions so that students are reading at grade level and building the math skills that they so desperately need and that open up every other door. When children fall behind in the early grades, the gap only grows. Catching those gaps early is one of the most important investments we can make. We intend to close them. We intend to close that gap. And we're going to see that coming up in a few weeks. I noticed a few of the schools have already started to open and already starting to go back to school, and they're going to be taking reading test, reading assessment, see where they are benchmark wise. I know that there are like 3 basic tests they take: beginning, middle, and end of year. And what they're going to find out, more than likely, what they're going to find out is that the reading scores have dropped because, unfortunately, our school kids. Now, I'm not saying everybody does, but some school kids do not read during the summer months. As much as we talk about reading initiatives, reading incentives, I know back home my mayor has a summer reading program, and today they're celebrating their conclusion with a pool party. As much as they try these incentives, students are still not reading, and when they go back to school, it takes a while to catch back up. So we're going to try to close that gap. Second, we're going to have real support for teachers. Teachers are the heart of our education system, and too many are leaving the profession because of low pay, lack of support, and overwhelming demands through performance-based retention bonuses of up to $8,000 for educators in high need districts. Think about that right now. Think about offering a teacher a retention bonus of $8,000 to stay in her district. That's what Back to Basics is going to do. Coupled with the fact that we are going to increase teacher pay, we're going to make it where teachers make a livable wage. Too many of our teachers are living below the poverty level. Back to Basics will fix that. We will fix the teacher pay gap and get it where teachers are living on a livable wage. And by doing that, we will also, like I said, we'll also have the retention bonuses. Because what happens is, one of the problems that happens is that in education is these teachers, and again, like I said, some of them are getting ready to start school. Others are coming up in the next couple of weeks. And so teachers are getting these jobs. The first day or so of school comes along, and they get attracted to the job because of the holidays and because of the lure of getting off at 3:45. Let me tell you, and many of you, especially in the press pool, I know some in the audience have heard this too. Many of you know my wife is an educator for 31 years, and actually this year is becoming a principal. I'm very, very proud of her. But these jobs in education are more than 7:15 to 3:45. They are a commitment. They are a commitment. Oftentimes, it's taking home grades at night or grades homework at night to grade, grades to be completed for report cards. So there's a lot of work to do. And so what we want to do with Back to Basics is reward those who stick with it. Because history shows, especially for a new teacher, history shows that the toughest year for an educator is that first year in the classroom. So we want to reward them and encourage them to come back by paying this retention bonus. And also we'll have mentoring programs, instructional coaching, and professional development focused on literacy and math. We are making it possible for good educators to stay in the classroom instead of leaving. I have long been a supporter of a nationwide reading academy. A dear, dear friend of mine leads a reading academy at a district level back in Texas. And I think it's the model for what we should roll out across our country. And again, like I said, this will be for all teachers. This academy will give every K through 3 educator access to high quality evidence based training in the science of reading. Too many teachers have never reached or never received comprehensive preparation in how children actually learn to read. And they spend weeks, if not months, back home in Texas going through a reading academy. And I think increased professional development, these reading academies will do nothing but help our students down the path. Like I said, it will provide a practical classroom ready training grounded in the latest research. It'll be covering phonics, fluency, vocabulary, and comprehension, so that every teacher has the tools to help every child become a strong reader. We will work with states, universities, and school districts to make this training available, practical, and scalable. No teacher should be left without the knowledge and support needed to teach reading effectively, and no child should be left behind because of their teacher lacked access to the best methods. Third, we need clear metrics and accountability. We will measure progress by results, improve reading and math proficiency, higher teacher retention rates, and better outcomes for students in high need districts. States will submit annual progress reports, and the Department of Education, the DOE, will issue a public scorecard so families, educators, and policymakers can see what is working and where more effort is needed. Accountability is not about punishment. It's about ensuring that resources produce real results for children, and that's what we're trying to do. That's what we are endeavoring to do. Fourth, and that's going to be targeted support for high need communities, suburban and rural districts. Facing teacher turnover rates above 15% are serving large numbers of economically disadvantaged students. They will receive priority funding and technical assistance. These communities have carried a heavy burden for too long. No child should have a revolving door of teachers or outdated material simply because of where they live. And we're trying to solve that revolving door. Like I mentioned, and I've seen it, the first year in education is your toughest. I've seen teachers start a career at 7:45 and ended at 3:15 the same day. I've also seen teachers, a very good friend of mine back in Texas, was my teacher in high school, served 30 years in the same school. That's what we want in our country. That's what we want in our country. And our students are ready for that, and they want that. We will direct resources where the need is greatest. We've already begun this work. The teacher retention initiatives or incentives are moving forward. Updated school nutrition guidelines are in place. We talked about that a little bit earlier this year to ensure children are healthy and ready to learn. Summer feeding programs are bridging the gap until school resumes so that no child starts the new year behind because of hunger. One of the things I'm very proud of, there's a school district in Texas, back home in Texas, that's actually redoing their nutrition program and having more appetizing food for their students. And that is so important because it is so difficult to learn on an empty stomach. Now we will build on that progress with urgency and focus. Education is the great equalizer. When we get the basics right, strong teachers, strong curriculum, strong support for students, we give every American child the chance to reach their full potential. That is how we build a stronger economy, stronger communities, and a stronger country for the next generation. I truly believe that. And I know we can do it if we if we work hard at it, and I'm committed to working in a bipartisan way of Congress to see this happens, because there's nothing more important, I believe, than the child's education. We're looking at investing $1.72 trillion in education, second behind the Department of Defense. That's how important I think education is. I thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for being here today. Thank you very much. May God bless you. May God bless the United States of America, and may He protect our troops. Thank you all very much. Thank you. Thank you.